Hello, hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome to a Planet Zoo stream. I'm Elt, I'm one of the community managers here at Frontier. You might recognise me from our usual Tuesday live streams. If you've not, then come along and check us out and hang out with everybody having fun on Planet Zoo every Tuesday. But today we're here for something very special. We are here to celebrate the Planet Zoo Conservation Pack, which I am sure many of you are excited about. I've been sitting, looking and seeing all of the excitement all day since we launched it. Everything coming in on the forums, on all of our social media, and your reception has been absolutely amazing. I'm seeing some amazing names here in chat, lots of people joining in. I'm seeing some of our brilliant mods. I'm seeing Heather and Osric always here helping us out with the Plan Zoo fam. I'm seeing Caesar, I'm seeing Swifty, I'm seeing so many of our frequent names that have been here all the time, and I'm seeing lots of new ones too, which is always awesome to see. So thank you so much for all being here and joining in. I hope you're really excited to see what we've got in store for you. We have some really, really exciting stuff today. Of course, we're going to be taking a look at all of the incredible things that you can find in the new conservation pack. But we're also here for something a little bit special, a little bit fun, a little bit thematic. Obviously, one of the most important things about Planet Zoo is the education aspect, and we've really tried to lean into that with the conservation pack. And while we try our best to be experts, obviously we are not the ones working out there, so instead we thought maybe we'd bring in some actual experts. So today I am joined by some very special friends from the Highland Wildlife Park, which is very dear to my heart since I'm from Scotland. So, hi guys. Jump over. Hi.
Hi. Hey.
Hey, hey.
So, welcome. Are you excited to be here?
Yes, of
No,
course.
very much so, yeah.
Always.
Something new, something different.
That's what we like to hear. So, for everybody that's watching, why don't you two introduce yourself?
Oh, I'll go first. My name's Jack. I'm the Discovery and Learning Officer at the Highland Wildlife Park. So I have the fantastic job of engaging and teaching and speaking to the general public about all of the amazing animals that we have here.
What an incredible job.
Sorry. I am Phoebe, and I am one of the hoofstock keepers at the Highland Wildlife Park. So I look after all the different beasties that have got hooves, and also randomly the wolves as well. And I've been here for about 2 years, but I've worked as a zookeeper for just shy of 10 years now.
I love the hooved wolves. That's my favourite. But those are some absolutely fascinating jobs. Like, you must have such an interesting day-to-day life. First of all, for everybody who's maybe wondering, why don't you tell us a little bit about conservation initiatives around the world and what you guys get up to? Why conservation is so important?
Oh, conservation is essential. You know, unfortunately, so many different animals worldwide are declining. And unfortunately, we are probably one of the main reasons why they are disappearing humans. So whether it be poaching, loss of habitat, climate change, invasive species, you know, we need to do something about it. And this is what zoos are here for. So we're here to educate people. We're here to tell them about the conservation work that we're involved in. RZSS is actually involved in 20 projects worldwide. And we're dealing with native and exotic. We're dealing with big animals like anteaters in the Pantanal. We're dealing with the pine hoverflies, a critically endangered fly which most people don't know about really. And it's essential for us to get people that connectivity, to make sure that they appreciate their zoos. And the zoos are here for a specific reason, just to make sure that these animals are here for the future, because we need the biodiversity of our planet for our benefit, but also for the benefit of the planet as well.
Absolutely. So you did mention the RSZZ as RZSS. I always get those letters mixed up, but for those who don't know, that is the Royal Zoological Society of Scotland, correct?
They own both Edinburgh Zoo and the Highland Wildlife Park. So we're the sister site, which is further north, and we actually specialise in cold adapted species. So we've got a different kind of collection compared to Edinburgh. They've got a little bit more exotics, and Phoebe used to work down there for best part 8 years, was it?
Pretty much.
Oh wow. I've probably seen you at some point then, because I've actually visited both sites back when I was still living up north. Absolutely beautiful areas, so you've done some stellar work. Everybody works across both areas. And one of the things you do work with is, of course, the star of the conservation pack, and one we're here to learn a little bit more about, the Chevalski's horse.
Well, Phoebe's the one who works very closely with them. So, do you want to know? Do you want to know a little bit about them?
Absolutely. So for everybody who's wondering, first and foremost, why don't you just give us a brief introduction to what the Chevalski's horse is for people who maybe don't know?
Chevalski horses are an animal which are now found in the borders between Mongolia and China, and they were critically endangered. In fact, they were extinct in the wild. So it was only because of zoos that these animals survived. Their population, was it as low as 40 individuals? Mm-hmm. Yeah, as low as 40 individual animals, and only about, was it 9 of them were able to breed?
Yeah.
So zoos have literally built this species back up from the brink of extinction, and there are now, I think about 3,000 in captivity, but there's about 350 to 400 of these horses now living in the wild where they belong. So if and when possible, zoos will return animals back to their natural habitat as long as it's safe though.
That's what we care about. We want to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the animals, and that's what conservation projects are all about. I'm seeing a lot of love in the chat for the Chevalski's horses, because right now we are, of course, showing some amazing footage of your horses, of your herd. They look so cute.
They're so sweet. They are really sweet. They're gorgeous as well. So I don't know if it's the same one, but you can see on the screen there, that's Sarah. Sarah is one of the oldest Chevalski horses on record. She was born in 1990, so she's 1 year older than I am.
She's older than
so
me.
She's 32 this year. She's our old gal. And then we have got, so in total we've got 8 horses here at the park. So it's 7 females and 1 male who's a gelding. So we've got Sarah as our matriarch, she's the head of the herd. And then underneath her, we've got 3 other adult females. So we've got Tuya Oyen, who were both born in 2015. And then Aida, who was born in 2001. So she's a bit of an older gal as well. And then we've got Menza, who's our gelding, our male. So he's in with the girls, gets on really well with them. He's a bit of a cheeky one, Menza. Definitely has the most attitude because obviously he's a cheeky little toddler boy. He's only 2.5 years old, so he's still got a bit of a toddlerness about him. And then we've got 3 foals from last year. We were super successful with breeding last year, so they're all 1 year old now. So we've got Enibish, Otsi, and Aztai, who are just over 1 now. So yeah, they're super sweet. They've got their summer coats at the moment, and some of the footage you can see them looking a bit scabby because their winter coats come off about this time of year, and when their summer coats are through, they just glisten and look beautiful in the sun.
That's absolutely astounding. I can't believe it. It's brilliant to hear that the efforts you're doing have paid off so much, and you've got 3 foals. That's brilliant. That's exactly what we want. When it comes to the Chevalski's horse, I am seeing this coming up in chat a little bit, so I'm going to flex one of my few conservation facts I do know, and you can tell me if I'm right here. Am I correct in saying that sometimes there's some debate about why the Chevalski's horse is called the last truly wild horse? But the reason for this is because unlike a lot of breeds that maybe live wild, they were all descended from domesticated breeds, whereas the Chevalski was a wild horse breed that has maintained being a wild horse breed forever. Correct?
That's as far as we're believe with regards to the research at the moment. Yeah, you're 100% correct. So yeah, they are the true wild horse, and you can see they're a little bit different from your modern horse. They're much shorter in legs, stockier in body, and they've got that short erect mane as well, so really different.
Yeah, my family are horse people, and they're almost like a cross between your standard horse most people think of and like a Shetland pony smashed into one wild horse breed. It's got the little stumpy legs, but it still retained the majesty of your average horse. So that's very, very cool to see. They're not only known as the Chevalski's horse, though, are they?
They're also known as the Taki, which is one of their native names, which I think it's quite nice. I like the native name, just Taki. I don't know, because a lot of the names that you use are native or from that area, aren't they?
Yeah, so a lot of the time when we've got foals born, well, pretty much every time that we've got a foal born, we try and go with a Mongolian name just to try and keep in the spirit of where they're actually from. So our foals from last year, we've got Enibish and Otsi, and Otsi was actually named after someone that one of our vets worked with out in Mongolia with the wild horses in the wild, which was amazing. So that was like a tribute, and it's a native name. And then Enibish is a term that says not this one, which is again, it's a Mongolian phrase, it's a Mongolian word. And then Aztai is called Lucky. That's lucky in English. Aztai means lucky. And we called her Lucky because she was born in a bog in the Highlands. And me and two of my colleagues and our amazing vet at the time had to rescue her, and we had to pull her out the bog. And we basically saved her life. So that was very fulfilling, and that's why we called her Aztai, because it means lucky.
That was a really bad time to take a drink of water, because I felt like I was going to do a spit take in shock there for a minute. That's incredible. So did you just have to rush in and do this yourself?
Yeah, so thankfully our horses are so trusting with us. They're, as Jasper said, they're the only species of horse that have never managed to be domesticated. But what's quite beautiful is that, as with anything, if you show them respect, they will undoubtedly show you the respect back. And that's what we have with our horses here at the park, is a great trusting, respectful relationship between us and them. So Aztai's mum, who's Oyen, one of the older gals, Aztai's really, she stands out a lot because she's very, very pale. She's the palest one. She kind of looks a bit like a ghost. And so does her mum. It's really lovely. They're both the palest ones that we have at the park. But she was so trusting to allow us to take Aztai into the vet area, and then there I sat with her on the floor for about an hour, just picking all the mud off of her hair and like wiping her eyes clean, and then we had to give her a blood transfusion, and that saved her life. And now she's like the biggest foal from last year. You would never think that she'd had such a rocky start to life. We swear that the blood transfusion would probably contain like Clydesdale blood or something, because she's so big now. And yeah, when we reunited her with the herd, the first thing that Mum did was just call for her and ran over, and it was lovely. You try not to put too many human feelings on, but it was lovely. It was like the best reunion ever. We were all delighted.
No, that's absolutely astounding. Everybody in the chat, give some love for Phoebe, because oh my God, applaud for you doing absolutely brilliant work with that. And it's so lovely to hear that you have such a genuinely great connection with the horses you work with. I actually heard a little bit about this. Jasper was telling us yesterday. Right now, you've been managing to do some really incredible training with them, isn't that right?
Yeah, so we're really fortunate that we've got an area that we're able to take the horses into, which is an open, what we call a sand paddock area. And in that area, we're able to do some amazing training. So when you think about training in zoos, it's always positive reinforcement training, which is the same as your training that you do with your dog at home, where you ask them to sit and you give them a biscuit. But with the horses, it's slightly different, because we're not tending to use too much of a food item for them, because they are extremely greedy. So if we were to use food, then they can be a bit pushy with us. And as I say, because they're still a wild horse, we have to make sure that we are respectful around them and things. But what's been amazing is just what we call training that we do with them has been sometimes just standing in that sand area and allowing whoever wants to approach us. And if they approach us, then we're able to maybe give them a little scratch and get hands-on with them. And then over time, that's built up. So Sarah, who's the old gal, the 32-year-old, she's our matriarch. And over time, she's gained such a lot of trust with all the different keepers that she's worked with over her 32 years. And now we're able to do amazing work with Sarah. Because she allows us to get hands-on, we can do things like standing hoof trims without any sedation. We're able to do hand injections without any sedation. We've microchipped our foals without having to sedate them. And things like flies, you know, the Scottish midgie, of course, infamous up here. If the flies are bothering the horses, then we can put creams on them, ointments on them. Last year, Sarah had an injury from a stag in the park, and she came to us and allowed us to flush that injury out with a solution, and it's incredible. So hats off to our wonderful Bonnie, who's been our trainer. She's the one that's really shown us the way with the wild horses, and then the team's worked incredibly hard to build up that sort of level of trust with them. So it's amazing. It's brilliant what we're able to do.
That is genuinely astounding, and I am now slightly jealous. I wish I had somebody to deal with Scottish midgies when I was still living up there. You're right, it's been one of the good things about moving down here. At least I've got freedom for that this summer, especially with how warm it's been the last little while. But I'm seeing a lot of appreciation for all of the work that you've managed to do in the chat. People are saying how great that is, and they're right. The fact that you've managed to get this done and being able to still be so respectful of the fact that they're wild and of their mentality is all the props in the world. Now, what else would maybe be a bit interesting for us to learn about? How about, what is it that they eat? Do they just eat the same as normal horses?
Pretty much, yeah. So obviously with these guys, they're from quite a hardy climate, and in the Scottish Highlands that does tend to be the same. The truth for up here as well. So the majority of their diet will be grazing, so grass. They love grazing on the grass. They'll sometimes graze on some of the wildflowers and things that are growing as well. But the main part of their diet, yep, absolutely grass. And in winter, we'll give them hay to supplement their diet with that. Obviously, when it snows and the ground's covered, they get the hay. But when we're doing our training and things like that, so as you can imagine, it sometimes can take a little bit more to get them to comfortable to do something with us. So they'll get little carrot fingers. So we'll just chop carrots up. And that's like the ultimate reward. So when Sarah's standing and you're picking up her hoof for a hoof trim, you just ply her with little carrot fingers. And it's the same for us having a sweetie at home. You know, it's like a little treat, a little reward. The ultimate reward being once she's finished, she'll maybe get a bit of apple. But we don't give them too much extra apart from that. Around the reserve, we've got different piles of browse that we put out for our bison and our red deer to thrash around and have a good time on. And the horses love going and nibbling the ends of the browse. So what we call browse is all the different types of tree branches that we'll give to the animals. So if we've got bits of willow and things there, then they'll go and have a good nibble on that. But yeah, they're pretty easy. They're pretty good. They're pretty easy to look after and maintain and keep happy. It's the simple things in life that keeps them happy.
It's nice to know that they're not fussy. They're just easy breezy, living their life, enjoying the summer, having a simple time. We should all aspire to be more like them. So regarding the fact that obviously they are able to handle harsh climates and that they are this easygoing in certain ways, obviously they are still endangered and they are still having issues. But where in the wild can we now find them? Is there anywhere that you can find them now?
Yeah, well, you can find them in the borders between Mongolia and China. That's where they've been released into a big reserve there. But there are other places where you can see them. In fact, they've in, what was that, nuclear... Chernobyl. Yeah, in the areas around Chernobyl, they've actually got Chevalski horses there. They're managing the environment. Down in, there's a nature reserve, I think Marwell, put some Chevalski horses down there. They're using it as a management system, management tool to prepare the ground for biodiversity. So, but that's not wild. The true wild is in the borders between Mongolia and China.
That's incredible. I was actually reading about the one at Chernobyl and the fact that that is currently the largest reserve, and that's such a fascinating place for them to be able to thrive. It's such a good use of land that currently isn't hugely usable for anything else. And they're absolutely thriving there. They're doing brilliantly. And I was in shock reading this. For a while, I was convinced that I was reading like a Snopes article and that it was completely made up. And then I started seeing like clips of them and stuff, and it brilliant and beautiful.
As far as I'm aware, they're completely thriving down there as well, like you say. So, but you're finding other species that are appearing. You've got bear, you've got wolf, you've got lynx, and yeah,
all of the species of plants that have come back to that area, and it just shows that when nature's left to its own devices, it can thrive again and without any human intervention. So it's great.
It's brilliant to see the payoff of both of them, because sometimes leaving it alone and letting it thrive and just watching it cultivate and making sure it's okay is absolutely the way to go. And then we've got people like yourselves that are doing brilliant work with hands-on conservation and helping get these various animals and species to the point that we can then put them back into the wild and allow them to naturally thrive. And watching both of these different types of conservation work together and then seeing the payoff for it is brilliant. It's one of the things I've been loving learning about while I've been researching into this pack and get everything sorted and all of the dev on the back end. Like, it's been such a great thing to learn so much about, and I'm so glad that we've got people like yourselves that are here to teach us more about it. When they're living in the wild, there's all of these things we're doing that are amazing efforts to help protect them, but the opposite side to that is, what are their biggest threats? What is it that they're facing that's a struggle?
I think, as far as I'm aware, that some of the biggest threats are loss of habitat, disturbance, poaching, hunting, illegal hunting. sometimes they've even been brought into captivity, but they don't thrive. It's a wild animal, so it should be in the wild. Invasive species, so domestic animals are going into their territory, eating their food, pushing them out to the furthest boundaries that they can withstand of their environment, and it makes life harder for them, because we've got goat herders, we've got yak herders, we've got horse breeders, and all this kind of stuff. It impacts upon the wild animals and their environment and how they can survive.
And so how can people at home maybe help towards this? What are different ways that the people who aren't out there doing amazing work like you guys are able to go across to Chernobyl and get hands-on involved? How can the average everyday person make a difference?
Support your local zoo at the end of the day. I think supporting your local zoo is fantastic, because certainly zoos in Great Britain, we are managed by BRs, and this is like our governing board, and we have to be at certain levels, certain standards to be part of it. So we need to be a good accredited zoo, we need to have good welfare. So if you support these good zoos, part of their recommendations is that they have to do conservation, they have to do education, they have to do research. So it's ticking all those valuable boxes. So go to a good reputable zoo, make sure that they are doing conservation work, and move away from the traditional zoo where it was small enclosures, where you've got animals that are just there for the spectacle. So it's having a good quality zoo that you can visit, and you know where your money's going, you know what they're doing is good, and it's for the benefit of the animals. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I always say that when it comes to for me, working in a zoo, the most important thing for me is knowing that I am working somewhere that I know does help animals in the wild. If you spoke to any zookeeper, they would say the same thing. I wish that my job didn't have to exist, but I'm so glad that it does, and I'm so glad that we're able to make a difference. As well as visiting your local zoo and things, the other really important thing, which nowadays is so important, is that we talk about what's going on in the wild, and we make sure that people are aware that there's so many conversations you can have with people about conservation, and it could impact someone that you don't even realize in what way they might change something. They might change habits, they might not just supporting the Chevalski horse, but in general, animals that are suffering with problems in the wild. You might convince someone to be more cautious of their plastic use and things like that. Just discussing it and having a conversation with someone like what we're doing right now, educating people, is so important.
Everybody can do their part, no matter how small it is. Even if it's just recycle this or put that in the bin, it's all essential. No matter how small your contribution is, it will always benefit somebody somewhere or some animal. And like I say, it's essential that we just try and do our part, and we try and get that connectivity. And I think that's the best thing about COVID, is that people are now realizing, I need the countryside, I want to be outside, I want to be aware of all the environment, and they really see the benefit of zoos. We have certainly seen people coming back more enthused with being involved with the zoos. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been lovely to see the support that zoos, not just Highland Wildlife Park, but other zoos got throughout lockdown period and things. Back 2 years ago, almost. It was 2 years ago now. It feels like a lifetime ago. I'm sure for everyone it's the same. But just having the ability to still be able to connect with people, and then opening a lot of people's eyes to things that they had no idea about before. So it's super important to support zoos, and also to just talk about things and be as aware as you can. And yeah, you have no idea how small an impact, how small your impact can have on something.
I absolutely could not have put it better myself. You guys are the experts for a reason, and that is exactly what we're here and what we care about, and that's what we're trying to highlight and celebrate with the Planet Zoo Conservation Pack. All of these efforts and all of the small things that everybody can do and how important it is, and first and foremost, education. So for those of you who are maybe just joining us who aren't aware, hi and welcome. I am Eltanin. I'm one of the community managers here at Frontier, and today we are here with some amazing, very special guests from the Highland Wildlife Park, learning a bit about the work that they do and celebrating the Planet Zoo Conservation Pack, the new animals that are in them, and generally just all of the incredible work being done for conservation worldwide. So before we move on, it's maybe time that we show you guys a bit of our side. We've had a look at your world. You can have a bit of a look at ours in the conservation pack. Are you both up for it? I know that Phoebe might maybe had to head off.
Yeah, I can stay for a little bit longer. I definitely want to have a little nosy and see what's happening with this new pack. It's very exciting.
Perfect. Well then, we will jump back with me, Phoebe and Jasper in a minute. But to kick us off, why don't we take a look at the Planet Zoo Conservation Pack trailer? It has got an issue in loading, so before that instead we will just switch on over to the gameplay directly while we manage to get this sorted. So here we are. We have had one of our team, Incredible, sitting at the side of me, getting us all prepped and ready, and they're going to name us around to anywhere that I want to go and see. So everybody give some love in the chat for all of the brilliant work that he has been busy doing. And first off, we've just spoken about them, we will show you our Chevalski's horses. So if we go in and take a look at them. So the Chevalski's horse is the big banner animal that we've been showing you guys for Planet Zoo this time around. And here they are. Oh, they're even all circled around having a little snack. And there's even a foal. We do indeed. So I think there's 2 foals in there maybe.
In there as well.
Remote, so you can track them and you can see any of them and follow them around. So this is us tracking one of the foals. We have various food enrichments, things for them to enjoy. We've got lots of foliage in there that they enjoy that's for the correct area that they're in. So if we around, we've got all these plants, all these flowers, got some natural water sources for them to enjoy.
Enrichment is so important for the animals, and it's fantastic to see that you've got this in your computer game. It's so realistic in comparison to what we do as well. We put enrichment in for all our animals, and it's to keep their minds busy physically, mentally. And what kind of enrichment do you stick in for your horses?
So we don't tend to have to do too much enrichment with the horses because naturally their environment they have here at the park is so enriching. We've got water areas, we've got hilly areas, drier areas, we've got boggy bits. But I do know, and we always try and make our enrichment as natural as possible, but one of the things that they love the most is one of the equiballs that you can get for your pet horse. So it's just a sort of strange shaped ball, and as soon as they have one of them in front of them, they love it. You can put little bits of pellet in there as well for them, or carrot if they want, and they have to hoof at it to twist it round and roll it around. So they love playing with, yeah, exactly, that kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
They will play with them. Yeah, so that's good to see.
Absolutely. So for you guys, for people who are watching and don't know this, these guys are both often busy actually dealing with these animals in the wild, so they've not had many time to sit down and get into computer games themselves. So this is their first deep dive into Planet Zoo, and we're very excited to show them it. Enrichment is a giant part of this game. All of the animals have various stats that you have to make sure that you're fulfilling to make sure that they're having a happy, enriched and positive life and make sure that animal welfare is being focused. So whenever you click on one of them, you will see, and James at the side has made these enclosures very well, so they're very happy. They've got the kind of terrain that they like, they've got the right environment, the right biomes, the plants match what they need and the environment and the climate they would come from. And of course your enrichment, so you can see some of the different food enrichment and toy enrichments that they've got to make sure they have an enriched and happy and positive life. You've got your social, making sure they're in a big enough herd or a big enough grouping, or solitary, if that's what suits the species. And then through breeding, you've got things like genetics, where you can then try and improve the species and make sure that you're breeding the right kind of genetics that you want to try and help with things. Then you can release them back into the wild in the game and cycle this round. And we try to keep it as true to what the real zoo and conservation experience people are doing in the real world as possible, because our community are very big animal and zoo fans, and that's what's so important to them as well.
So cool. And like you say, what you're looking at is exactly what we're looking at. We're involved, we have RZSS Wild Genes, and we're the only zoo-based genetic lab that we are able to use and understand the genetics of the horses, or other species, so that we can make sure that we're getting the best genetic diversity possible. That is brilliant.
It's such an important thing, especially for animals that are in endangered or below conservation efforts, and trying to make sure that these species have the best chance possible and making sure that they are genetically able to handle this is one of the things that is so important. I've actually saw a notification pop up in the corner of the window there that our oryxes have had offspring, so they're one of our other new animals. So why don't we pop over now and take a look at the scimitar horned oryx and see that. I believe you guys also have some of them, don't you?
We used to have scimitar horned oryx. We were actually one of the first people to be breeding them. Because they then became extinct in the wild, and then the oryx that we had at Edinburgh Zoo, probably the best part of 20 odd years ago, were then sent over to Tunisia as part of the reintroduction program. And Wild Genes is still involved with this program through the genetic observation, management of them, both in captivity and also in the wild. So yeah, we're not closely linked in the physical sense with the animals, but we are closely linked with the genetic aspect of it, the genetic management.
That's still brilliant, and it's brilliant to hear about the work that you guys are doing even beyond the animals that you have yourself and that you're directly involved with. It's great to hear about the efforts you're doing on a much wider scope, and it's such a great convenience that that's actually one of the animals that is in this pack. So here you can obviously see one of them, and those iconic giant horns that are going back. I had to actually explain to one of our team that obviously they are named after the scimitar blade and named after the weapon, which is very, very cool to see. They've captured it really well in the game. And here you're seeing a good close-up in one of them. I'm seeing a lot of love for this in the chat. I've got somebody, one of the messages, just, "I'm gonna melt from the cute," which I think is a good reaction.
The detail and the movement of the animals, you've really captured, you know, how they move and how they engage with their environment. It's really cool.
Yeah, for a short period of time I worked with the scimitar horned oryx while I was over working in San Diego Zoo Safari Park. So very short period of time that I was there, unfortunately. I wish I could have been there for longer. And I just wanted to say, like, I worked with young calves, and it's so realistic, it's lovely. It's so nice to see the detail and effort that's been put into making them so realistic and things. Some of your biggest fans are zookeepers, and I know that. I know a lot of my zookeeper friends that play the game and love the game. And I remember when the first trailer came out for the game, when it first came out, like the first trailer, we all sat, and I was at Edinburgh Zoo at the time, and we all sat around our table at lunchtime watching the trailer, being like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" So yeah, totally love you guys.
That's so lovely to hear. Thank you. Genuinely appreciate. Obviously, we are huge fans of the work that you guys do as well, and it's so nice to hear that it's vice versa and to hear it directly from people, because we are looking at what you guys do as inspiration. Like every day, I cannot tell you how many times I've been sitting going through various projects and like animals and everything, and just Googling endlessly to make sure I've got the research I need to try and write things for everything that's going out on our social media, and trying to highlight all of these conservation facts. And it's so nice to hear that it does go both ways. And you're right, the detail work is incredible. I have an art background before moving over to my little community side, and I am forever humbled and in awe and slightly terrified by the skill of our team. Like the animation of these animals, like look at his little legs go in the water, its little swim cycle. Our animation time just nailed it. They've knocked out of the park. And now it's just floating. Just stationary. Very cute. So we do, of course, have more in the conservation pack, and we'll maybe take a look at a couple more animals in a minute. But before then, something that I'm sure you guys work with frequently and that our community is so excited about, that might surprise you that they are so excited about, is our new Backstage scenery items. So if James zooms me over there, we have a bunch of new Backstage scenery items like shovels and these are new grass ceilings and building pieces. We have wheelbarrows and hoses and all of these things which seem really small, and they're not normally forward-facing things in a zoo that you'd have on display. But our community loves building these backstage areas, and the fact that we have introduced all of these items to make them seem even more realistic has them absolutely thrilled. So we definitely have to give a bit of a showcase to these.
Tidy as that.
Yeah.
That is super smart, and I love the way that you got the the green walls, the sedum roofs, fantastic, and the green wall is fantastic for biodiversity.
Yeah, you can tell that most of the community are probably zookeepers then, because the excitement over having the option to have wheelbarrows and fancy shovels and items that we use every single day, like hoses and boxes full of stuff. That's exactly what a yard for keepers would be like. A lot tidier and neater than most, but yeah. So that's fab. That's really cool.
You have no idea, like, we put out the original announcement trailer and we were being like, look at this amazing horse, look at this, look at all of these great animals that we're bringing you. And we just in all caps had people screaming wheelbarrow at us. And we were like, we're really glad to see, like, absolutely loving the excitement over all of these items. And they look great and they make the area feel real. And it's not just all of your props getting really excited about having all of your tools, it's all of these new building pieces that you're seeing. So biodiversity and also eco-friendly and green positive items was one of the big focuses in this pack, because obviously the planet and protecting it goes far beyond just the work we do with animals. So that's why you've got these grass ceilings, you've got 3D printed concrete sets, you have all of these new incredible building tile pieces to be able to use, you have new plant life, you have a bunch of new meadow flowers and various other plants. You're seeing our sunflowers there, which I am aptly dressed for, came thematic today. And flowers is another one that our community has been very excited to see in. You've got these new plants so you can place, so they look like little growing areas, and they are just display items, but it makes it look like it's thriving and like we're cultivating these items within the game. I love the new sunflower signs, I love a lot of the new signage. And this like green and very natural wood brown, I think it brings a really gorgeous view. It's my kind of bias. I love this kind of look in areas, and I'm very excited to use this in my Tuesday streams when I'm building in Planet Zoo myself. Nowhere near as brilliantly as James has managed to like whack out so quickly. I'm very impressed and also slightly terrified. But he has put together such an incredible zoo so quickly. But nonetheless, if you could take us over quickly to the sunflowers, I quickly want to highlight, not these ones, the ones with the plant pots. James driving exactly where I need. Perfect. So this is a one that people are excited about, but that I want to highlight for a very special reason. These are our sunflowers in the new plant pot items, and we are actually tomorrow going to be launching our community competition for our fans who are here a lot and are more familiar with the fact that every time that we launch a pack, we then do a competition for you guys to win some exclusive Planet Zoo merchandise. This one's going to be extra special because our competition is going to be to design a plant pot, and then it's going to get to go in game. So come along to the forums tomorrow and check out, and your design could end up being in Planet Zoo, and you'll find out more about that if you check out our social media and our forums tomorrow, which is going to be a very cool, very exclusive opportunity that I don't think we've ever had before. And now that I've gushed about sunflowers and plant pots for a bit long, let's go see another surprising for a few people, wasn't surprising for me, fan favourite, the Axolotl.
Axolotl.
You had an Axolotl?
I had an Axolotl. I had two. They came from Edinburgh Zoo. They were called George and Mildred, and one was a natural colour morph, so it was dark, and the other one was an albino colour morph, and it was very pale. So, and they are the coolest creatures ever.
They are, and we actually have the colour morphs in game.
Do?
We do. So I do not know if we've managed to get a couple of different ones if we go through them, but we have a couple of different colour morphs of the axolotls in game. It will just depend on if we can load them up. But so in Planet Zoo, there are two different kinds of animals. There are habitat animals and exhibit animals. Your habitat animals are your ones in your big outdoor enclosures, and then you have your exhibit animals that exist in these small tanks, so they are in contained areas and they are on display pieces. Our axolotl is a new exhibit animal, which is why they're in these tanks. And right now, James is just going to cycle through and see if he can find one of our axolotls that has an alternate colour morph, if we can try and find one of the pales. If not, then it happens. You can see them on our social media because we have shared some very cute photos of the pink ones. But we do have a couple of different colour morphs of the axolotls, and people were really excited because obviously they're albino colour morph is the popularised one, the one that got very popular from being pink and cute and cartoonized and very memorable. But the wild one is the one that struggles so much and is so important to have, and people were worried we wouldn't have it. We're very glad to say we do.
Unfortunately, now axolotls are extinct in the wild, I think, and they are amazing animals. They have this ability to be able to regenerate parts of their body. So if they were to have a toe or a foot nibbled by a predator, it will eventually grow back, which is just absolutely amazing.
It's absolutely incredible.
Huge.
I'm just seeing James mewing about looking at them, but to take a closer look at some of them, since I have now got the okay that we have managed to get the back issue sorted, why don't we now jump over and take a quick look at the Conservation Pack trailer so you can see it all shown in all of its glory, everybody at home can see it, and we can see some more of the axolotls that are in there. So let's take us over and have a look at that. And that's the trailer for the Planet Zoo Conservation Pack that we're here celebrating today. It's really exciting to show that to some people that have never seen it before. For anybody who is just joining us, hi, I'm El, and this is us here celebrating the game that you just saw, the amazing pack that you just saw, the Planet Zoo Conservation Pack, and taking a look at the new animals that are in it and highlighting some education and various ways that we can help, because that's what conservation is all about. I am joined here by Jasper and Phoebe from the Highland Wildlife Park, who are our conservation experts sitting here telling us way more interesting information than I could give you off of a whim, because they are the ones who know far better than me. I'm just here to be your game education vessel. So next, we are going to jump over and take a look at another new animal that has come in that people will have seen in that trailer, the siamang. Look at them! So these ones have been very well sought after and excitable from our community because of the new brachiation ability that has come. Before that, the animals that we had couldn't brachiate. Now the siamangs do have the ability to do that. They are the first animal and currently the only animal in game that is able to do this. And they have a new climbing frame enrichment that is the one you're currently seeing that allows them to brachiate going across it. So this is a brilliant new enrichment and a whole new animation system for people to enjoy, and it's not the only new thing that has come into the game. With the 1.10 update that also came out today, alongside, which is a free update that came out alongside the pack, there are new animal behaviours being added in, including chorus calls. And if I remember correctly, the siamang is one of the ones that can do the chorus call, which is also very cool. So lots of new ways for people in your zoo to be able to look and enjoy this, and for our players at home to see these animals like genuinely reacting and engaging with each other the way that they would naturally.
Have you ever worked with Siam.
I'm not. No, I worked with buff cheek gibbons at Edinburgh, but Siam are like up there with one of the coolest species. Yeah, 100%. It's their call. It's just so distinct. I think.
Their call is so iconic, and that's why I'm so glad that we've got the chorus call ability in the free update, so as people can not only just hear them doing it, but seeing them doing it to each other, because the way that the mechanic works is that one will start a call and the others will all join in and they'll all communicate with each other and start chorusing. The animals that this has been added for is these guys and then some of our wolves, because of course it makes sense for your wolves to be able to do this too. And it's so cool to see when you're seeing them interacting, and especially when you've got, because obviously the gibbon enclosures can be so big, sometimes you've got the Siamangs and you've got some of them swinging overhead, and then you've got them all calling, and they don't stop if they start calling. They can do it while they're climbing or while they're swimming. And so it really feels alive, and this is one of the new enclosures that I think is so interesting to take a look at, because it really does feel like it's thriving.
Yeah, one of the wonderful things about when I worked at Edinburgh Zoo and we had the buff cheek gibbons there was that every single morning I was, greeted when I would come into work by the gibbons singing, and I just think it's such a lovely thing. And you knew, there was six of them, and you knew each individual which part was theirs. So you had the high up call was one of the boys, and then the girls, you knew what they were doing when they were doing it, and it's lovely. So that's so nice that you've added that into the game. That's fantastic.
I think it gives them a lot more personality, and I'm just trying not to laugh to myself because I love these guys, they are great, but they do make me amused by just how buff their upper body is, and that's what gives them that great swinging ability. But it does look like they skip leg day. I've just been
listening to the wolves howling earlier, weren't we?
Yeah.
Our pack they were doing a training session with our pack of wolves, and they gave them a big feed afterwards, and they all took various parts of this carcass apart. I was up there with a school group at the time, and they thoroughly enjoyed it. And we were then back down in the yard, and we were listening, and we could hear the wolves started howling, one and then two, and then all of them were all calling, and it was absolutely fantastic.
That's brilliant. For us in game, it is our Arctic and our timber wolves that will now also be able to do the same thing. So people will be able to join them howling away at each other, which I'm sure will be both wonderful, but I'm sure would also be a lot if you were actually in that zoo hearing it yourself.
It makes the hair stand on the back of your neck, the hair on the back of your neck stand up.
I'll bet. Suddenly very glad that I've got the short hair. Might make it a little bit easier. So now that we have seen, I've just noticed that there's a little drum in the water. That's a really cute touch. Look at him hang. Yeah, right? It's their giant biceps that just amuse me so much. They really look hench. And so now, if we have had a look at all of these, of course, it wouldn't be a celebration of the conservation pack if we don't jump over to our last but not least animal, the Amir Leopard. If we scooch in and find one. Oh, one's having a swim. Perfect.
You've even got the shadow as well. That is so cool. Amir leopards are critically endangered. There's 75 to 100 of these animals left, and yeah, they're on the decline. But zoos are making a difference. They are breeding them. There are collections which have them. In fact, there are more in captivity than there are in the wild. We have Emir Tigers here at the park, and they live in exactly the same kind of habitat as the Emir leopards.
Sorry, I got distracted by how cute the little baby is. So adorable. Well, there might not be many of them, but you can of course breed more of them in your game, and the cubs will be adorable. But it's great to hear that you have the other Amir species, the Amir leopard. This is our first leopard in Planet Zoo, so we're very excited to bring the Amirs in. I think that they are a gorgeous addition. And as you said, they are one of the ones in our pack that is the most endangered. There are so few of them left. And so it's great to have an animal that has that kind of risk at them highlighted here, because they're one that I know that so many zoos are doing brilliant initiatives with. And I've seen people saying in chat that some of their zoos actually, like their local ones, have 2 of them and are doing these efforts, and it's great to see people that are engaging them and have gone and seen them and visited them themselves. And I'm very jealous. I'll maybe have to see if I can find somewhere that's got some and visit them myself one day.
Snow leopards up here as well. So, and we're quite lucky, we've got cubs at the moment. So they are 3 weeks old. Yeah,
almost 4 weeks.
Almost 4 weeks old now, and yeah, they're not on show to the public at the moment. We won't get to probably see them until they're a little bit more mobile. We're leaving mum with the cubs. We work very much a hands-off with them, so that they can do what comes naturally. So mum has got the cubs, and we think we've definitely seen 2. There could be 3. We're not 100% sure. It's very difficult. They're in the cubbing den, which is very dark, and yeah, so only time will tell.
It's incredible that you guys currently have cubs. I had no idea. In 4 weeks. That's so new. I'll have to keep an eye out so as when you guys announce what you've got, I can find out and see how many you actually ended up with.
Well, if people want to know, go on Facebook, social media, what else? Twitter. What else we got? We got Instagram.
Yeah.
So, but no, check on our websites. That's where you can get lots of updates. YouTube. I think we've got a YouTube channel as well. So
probably.
Yeah.
A TikTok, obviously. There's videos of me and some of the keepers dancing on there if you want to laugh.
Oh, that sounds adorable. I'm going to absolutely check out that after this. For our wonderful moderators and, of course, my lovely colleagues that are in the chat, if you guys could link the Highland Wildlife Park, and if people want to find out more, if you look at the links in the chat, then you'll be able to find out a bit more about these guys and about the amazing work that the RZSS does. Why is that such a tongue twister?
It is a bit.
It trips me up every single time. But nonetheless, that is probably about all we have time for. It was so amazing to get to show you guys your first in-depth look to Planet Zoo.
Absolutely fantastic. It's the first time I've seen it. I'm not much of a gamer, so for me seeing this and the detail was just phenomenal.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it, and thank you so much for teaching us everything about what it is that you guys do. It's been genuinely incredible to get this chance to speak to you both and to learn so much from you. I know that I've absolutely loved the experience, and I can tell from how enthusiastic our chat has been that they have loved every minute too. So thank you so much for all of your time. Before you guys head off, I'm just going to see if chat has any last minute questions that you guys want me to quickly address with myself or you guys. And while they are throwing in some questions, I will ask you guys, what was your favourite animal to see in the pack?
Obviously the Chevalski horses for
Axolotl all the way, I'm afraid. I love the axolotl. I think they're brilliant.
See, now it makes sense that the hoofstock person... So sorry, I spoke over you there, that's my bad.
I was saying thank you so much for bringing awareness to these animals. It's so lovely to have something that is so incredibly popular, totally giving it to the unsung heroes of the animal kingdom. So that's fabby. Thank you.
Most people have never heard of Chevalski horses though, have they? So, having them highlighted in as part of your pack is just brilliant. But go and see a real one. Come to the wildlife park. Go to a zoo, or we got them in Edinburgh as well, haven't we?
Yeah, they're at Edinburgh.
So yeah, go and see them. It's fantastic.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, and you're entirely right. It's just incredible to see them. I have been lucky enough to see them in real life. And I'm very, very glad that it makes sense for our hoofstock keeper to be biased towards the Chevalskis, but I'm glad we've managed to convert one person and get them loving the Axolotl too, because it has become my little favourite of the pack. I love its little smile, and I think there's...
With the gills.
Yes. And all the different colours. I like how vibrant they are, and I think the way that they swim is so interesting. And so it's been such a great one to have, but that's my own little bias. I'm seeing one particular question for Phoebe here, asking if the horses are super soft.
Yeah, they are pretty soft actually. So if you've ever touched a horse before, it's exactly the same idea. When they've got their winter coat on, they look really, really fluffy. It's still sort of hair, but yeah, they are super soft. Very lucky that I get so close to touch them.
I'm sure a lot of people here are very, very jealous. Other than that question, we're mostly seeing a lot of people thanking you both for your time and for all of the incredible facts you've given, and saying how much that they have enjoyed having you here. So we really cannot thank you enough.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
us.
It's been wonderful. And with that, if we can jump over and just have me. Now you're just stuck with me once again, my Plan Zoo fam. It is lovely to see you all, and thank you for being here with me to celebrate the Planet Zoo Conservation Pack. It has been such an exciting time. If you've tuned in on our social media, you'll have enjoyed our little social media internship with our Planet Zookeeper Steve, who's been taking you on the journey all the way here. And now it's here, and everything's here, and we can enjoy it and thrive together. Of course, I will be playing it along with all of you and getting to dive into some of these building pieces myself in our usual Tuesday live streams, which you can check out every Tuesday. They are usually at 5 p.m. BST, but if you're ever not sure and if there's ever any changes, you can find out on our social media and on the Frontier main Twitter as well. If you are interested in getting the Planet Zoo Conservation Pack, then head on over to Steam, and it is available now. And of course, you can check out any of our social media and our forums to see all of the new exciting information and to have a deep dive and chat to all of our fans as well, and join in the community and share your builds, because if you share anything, we would love to see it. And if you do make anything with the new pieces and share it on social media, then make sure to tag us or tag it with Conservation Pack, because I'm always on there scurrying through everything that people have made, and I want to take a look so as I can pick out some favourites and highlight them on our social media as well. As I mentioned earlier, we do have an incredible competition launching tomorrow for a chance to design a plant pot design that will then go into our game, just like these incredible ones that are on the table beside me that we made in our teaser stream. This is what this was hinting at. And so these were painted by some of our amazing team during our teaser stream. And you can design your own, and then our team will recreate it, and it will go in game for one very lucky person. And of course, they will get some Planet Zoo exclusive merchandise. So keep an eye on our social media and our forums for that tomorrow. And with that, that is me. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. It has been lovely being here. And enjoy the Planet Zoo Conservation Pack. Bye.